Hi, I'm Jordan, also known as Tools of Agriculture over in socials. I'm here with UK Planet Tools today to talk about some of my personal favourite tools to use on the farm. Cows, I love the smell of cows, especially on a dairy farm. Just that smell. You come in and your clothes smell of it. You get used to it and then you're like, oh, I love that smell. What's an unpopular take I have about our line of work? That we're all rich, apparently, and live in big mansions. Not true.
Let the agriculture begin!
Since we're in winter time, let's start with some winter-related tools, like the M12 heated jacket. The click will be all off. They'll be like... So, the heated jacket. In my eyes, it's one of the unsung heroes on the farm. At 6:30 in the morning, whenever you're going out to gather up cows and it's -4, this thing here is a bit of a game changer. I use it quite a bit when I'm out on the quad bike, whizzing up and down the fields. When you couple it with your M12 battery, it heats up your heat zones in your chest and your back, and you are nice and toasty all day long. The one I've got on here today, this is the new Hexon jacket from Milwaukee. This jacket is app controlled. We can turn it on from the phone, we can turn our LED light off and on, which I find really handy when I'm driving in the dark. And another thing I love is seeing what run time we've got left. So if I'm on the quad for 3 hours, say, I'll change my heat zone so I've got battery life to last the entire time I'm out in the farm and away from a charging station. These things here, they are brilliant, and if you're working in any outdoor job, they are essential. Right, let's move on to something a bit brighter now. It is this, the M18 magnetic boom light. Would sure help if I could see things a bit better. Don't have much complaints now, do we? I've used it really extensively. In the farm workshop mainly. This is more for our automotive stuff, mechanics, when we're fixing things in dark places. This is a brilliant light. Firstly, it's got this massive magnetic base on the bottom. That is a really strong magnet. Like, you will struggle to pull this off. Thankfully, it's got this little handle doodah thing here to help pull it off. You can open it up, you can move it around, you can swivel that, you can swivel that. And then the main thing that we all like in a good light, it's a bright, bright light, and we have used it a lot on the farm. I think all harvest this year I carried this actually in the cab of the combine because that was able to stick to the pillar of the combine cab, and then when we had late night breakdowns in the field, we were able to get out with this light and light up exactly where we need it. Definitely one of my essentials now on the farm. Right, let's stick with the automotive theme then and talk about this. Now, impact wrenches as a whole have a really essential place on the farm. This one here, this is my favourite, the 1/2" high torque. This particular impact is a bit special to me because it's the very first Milwaukee tool I ever got way back in 2019. Why do I like the 1/2" above them all? It packs enough punch to do some really big jobs, compact enough to still do some light and little jobs. Me, myself, I've got a whole fleet of impacts on the farm. From the big 1" D-handle impact wrench, essential for taking off the biggest of nuts. I'm talking 50mm bolts, sprayer wheels, that sort of stuff. Then we move down to this one here, normal wheels, car wheels, trailer wheels, plough points, smaller bolts around the cultivation equipment. Then we get on to our smaller stuff. You've got the M18 mid-torque, which we sort of use for general stuff, carrying in the cab, places like that there. And then we're into the M12 range, where we've got our M12 subcompacts and our M12 Gen 3 impact. That is my impact for carrying in the tractor cab for emergency field breakdowns, just because it's small and compact and doesn't pick up a lot of space. But as a general, if I could only pick one, it would be this one here because it is such a good all-rounder of an impact. But impacts as a whole, impact wrenches, they are essential for any sorts of nuts and bolts on your farm. I feel like an assassin assembling a gun. So when people think of power tools on the farm, usually this is what they think of, the good old trusty angle grinder. This one's mine. This is the M18 125mm angle grinder. Something special you'll notice on my grinder here is this little hose system. This is a retrofit kit I got online, and it's actually a water suppression system. So you bend that up, this connects into a hose, so then if we're cutting things, concrete or dusty, even metal, I use it on metal to try and keep it a bit cooler when I'm cutting it. Where do we use a grinder in a farm? It nearly sounds like a stupid question, because anybody that farms knows that grinders are just used absolutely anywhere and everywhere, probably even places they shouldn't be used and in ways they nearly shouldn't be used. For everything we use a grinder. If it needs cutting or sanding or anything or sharpening, you will probably use a grinder. Grinders are just essential and used all the time on farms. Up next we've got this one here, sort of like a grinder, only a bit less violent. This one is the M12 band file, and it does what it says on the tin. Basically a tiny little built sander. Genuinely, I use this tool all the time. There's so many applications for this in the farm because, like I said, it's a less violent grinder. So where do we use this? Sharpening blades in the mower, filing down any rough, jagged edges. Another place I found it quite useful is up inside bearing housings for things like our plows and any deep bearing housings where we need to file out burrs or things like that there that we're trying to replace bearings or worn metal on. This long reach on it really gets up in here. Then we got our little doodah here. We can move that around and lock it in. It's a pretty universal tool, which is great for us on the farm where there's so many different applications and areas of use where we could be using this. Going more down the hand tool route now, let's talk about these. It's the good old trusty socket set. Now this set here in particular is my Milwaukee 63-piece pack-out socket set. It's in a pack-out case, which I absolutely love because it keeps the whole thing compact, it keeps it together, and it makes it so easy to transport around the farm, being it throwing it in a tractor cab or just walking across the yard to a tractor that's broke down. The sockets in particular in this case, we've got our 1/2 inch and we've got our 1/4 inch. They're pretty nifty sockets. They've got a bit of a square head in the bottom there that stops them rolling about. What more is there to say? They're sockets. It's a pretty extensive socket set. Every farm, every workshop needs a good extensive socket set in their collection, and this is the one I've got. I've got one more automotive hand tool to show you, but for this, let's go out to my tool trailer to show you what it is. So welcome to the tool trailer where I keep my trusty Milwaukee toolbox, and in the top drawer here we have got this. It is my complete collection of Milwaukee max bout spanners. Now they're pretty nice spanners. They've got these grippy little inserts in the jaws. I've used these quite extensively around the farm and I'm quite impressed at just how much those jaws actually grip. Apart from that, they're just a real heavy duty spanner, which in my eyes is a complete essential to any workshop, and that's no different in a farm workshop too. So let's move away from the automotive tools now and into the landscaping section, and let's get straight into it with probably the most important tool for any farmer when it comes to landscaping. It is this, the chainsaw. This one in particular is the M18 dual battery chainsaw. I had a few options. I could either go petrol or I could go this, a bigger battery saw. The reason I went for the battery saw, they're just so much more convenient to run on farm. We're not using these all day, every day like you would in forestry. We're picking them up, we're going and cutting a windfall tree, we're going and cutting a tree that needs taken out. We just need to pick them up and go. So with this here, you get the batteries, you stick them in, you don't have to mix fuel, you don't have to winterize them. They're a lot less maintenance heavy than your petrol saws, and for me, that speaks a lot on the farm. They are so handy. And this one here has got loads of torque to it, equivalent to a 60cc chainsaw. It can cut through the biggest of stuff. There's always firewood to cut up on a farm, so a chainsaw, it's an essential bit of kit, and this one's mine. Sticking with chainsaws, let's go on to something a little bit smaller now. This is the Milwaukee M18 pruning saw. It's a lot easier to use on that smaller stuff than swinging about a big heavy chainsaw. During harvest and those sorts of times, we'll be going around fields that we've not been in for a long time, and we'll see a tree or a branch down that's going to knock the combine, knock tractors. We'll just put this in the tractor cab. It's small, it's compact, it sits down in the corner of the cab out of the way. A quick wipe of the branch, take it off without having to go and get a big 20-inch saw, a big petrol saw, anything like that there. It's just so handy, so quick, so versatile, and it's got a lot of uses. So another essential for us here in the farm is this, the trusty old blower. Although blowing leaves and grasses and the things you commonly blow with these, maybe not so much in the farm. Particularly in harvest time during the summer, we use this on a daily basis on the combine to blow all the dust and debris off the machine to reduce the fire risk. We also do all the other machines for all the dust and debris that build up around them. We also use it in the grain store for cleaning them out, silage pits when we finish putting in the grass, and just anywhere in the farm we've got a huge amount of debris that we need to blow around. They really are quite an essential bit of kit in the farm. This one here, as you can see, I've got a shorter nozzle on it. I've got myself a 3D printed stubby nozzle. So much handier for when I'm trying to get up around the intricate parts of the farm machinery. It gives me a really powerful blower and a compact little tool. So this next tool is a little bit big and bulky for the shop, but we're going to give it a go anyway. It is this big boy here. This is the M18 dual battery brush cutter. Now, a brush cutter is quite an essential bit of kit in a farm, whether you're mowing down bits of grass in overgrown areas that you can't just get to with your tractor mowers in the summertime, or going into some of those overgrown wooded areas and mowing out shrubs and brush in the winter time. There's always a use for one on the farm. This one here is mine. It's the Milwaukee M18 dual battery. A fun fact you should know about this tool is the motors inside are the same motors that are used in the new dual battery chainsaw. This motor is the first motor specifically designed to work with these, the forged batteries. Without a forge, you're not getting the full power out of this, but when you put a forged battery in this tool, it is an absolute animal. There's no stopping it. The power, the torque, and even the run time. I will tire out way before this tool does. So this next tool, it's not really a tool you'd think of at all when you think of a tool for farmers. This here is the M18 pack-out vac. Now, when I first got this, I thought, might use that every now and again. I've actually used this way more than I thought I would. So where do I use what is effectively a cordless hoover on a farm? Well, just that, anywhere there's no power. I am OCD about the cleanliness of my tractor cabs, so that is the first place I use it all the time. Quick hoover every now and again, it just keeps the place spotless. All the other machinery as well, combine, sprayers, telehandlers, everything has never been cleaner because now we can hoover out the cabs in a jiffy. Where else do we use it? Well, anywhere else we've not got power. One place, for example, is down the grain tunnels of our drying floors. They're big, long, dark tunnels, and we just cannot get a regular hoover down there. We can pick this up because it's light, small, and compact, and it's got this great little handle on the top. Head down there and hoover up whatever needs hoovering up. There is so many places like that across the farm that we have ended up using this hoover. It's got to the point we keep a battery in it constantly and always ready to go because it is always being used. Honestly, if you've not got one of these, get one because you'll find yourself using it all the time. Before we finish then, let's talk about a few honourable mentions that for various reasons I just couldn't bring in here today. First up is the grease gun. Now, I couldn't bring it in today because if I'd have brought it in here, this whole desk would have been covered in grease. It is a workhorse, the grease gun, constantly used, constantly covered in grease because of the environment it works in, but an absolute essential on the farm and essential for maintaining kit, especially in harvest during the summer there. Another one that's a bit of an essential on every farm of any type is the good old trusty pocket knife. We always use them in the farm, cutting silage bales, straw bales, fertilizer bag, you name it. If we can cut it, we will probably cut it on the farm. A knife is just an essential at all times. And last but not least, something I use all the time is the M18 quick lock rotary brush. It's a massive big tool. I couldn't fit it in here, but it is effectively a battery powered brush, and I use it everywhere in the farm for sweeping the drive, for sweeping around the houses, sweeping out the grain sheds, and just everywhere in between. I'm quite lazy. I don't like brushing by hand, and that just makes my life a lot easier because work smarter, not harder after all. So there you have it. That is just some of my favourite tools to use on the farm throughout the year. For the full list, make sure to head to the description and check it out there. And for all your tool needs, make sure you go and check out UK Planet Tools. As for me, you can head over to my socials, Tools of Agriculture, for more day-to-day farming tool content. See you there.